Good Sunday morning, and welcome to davidsbarter community. It is a very, very exciting time in our community as we take our mission and our goal of providing the social marketing and social network technology necessary so that thousands of businesses can be started now very efficiently, more simply than I've ever seen. I started my first business. I bought my first business when I was 24 years old, and earlier this week we actually had a discussion: should you buy a business or should you start a business? And there's arguments on both sides. If you can buy a business, and it's a business that, number one, can be bought reasonably, that's a business that's already in existence, does or does not have a proven business model. If it's been in business for a long time, it has a proven business model. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good business model, but it is there. So it all depends on the nature of the business, what you're trying to accomplish, and how much in the way of resources do you have. Should you buy a business or start one? When you start a business, you're starting it with your own ideas, your own thoughts, your own energies. You'll make mistakes, but you correct them, you fix them, and you keep on going. Our country needs businesses started more quickly, more businesses at any one time now than any other time I've seen in my lifetime. And why is that? Just this week, and I reported earlier this week, that the government came out with their first week of the month. They come out with figures for what happened in the month of August, for instance. They came out this week with it. And the two very frightening numbers came out. There were only 96,000 new jobs created in the month of August. 96,000. And I say only. We need to get back to a sense of normalcy. And I'm now quoting the Kauffman Foundation, not anything that I've made up. We need to create 300,000 new jobs every month for 36 consecutive months to get back to a sense of normalcy. That's a lot of jobs. And at 96,000 jobs that were created by the existing economy, existing small businesses or large businesses, we're far from that number. That's the first frightening number that we saw this week. At the same time, it was reported that unemployment got a little bit better. Less folks were unemployed. Now, the facts behind that piece of information were that many people, thousands of people, who were looking for a job for any period of time have stopped looking. What are they going to do? We believe, I believe, our community believes, that now is the best time that I have ever seen to start a new business. Just because new jobs are not being created as they need to be created does not mean that people stop having needs for goods and services. there's more people, so theoretically there is a greater demand for goods and services. So I'm going to change that. There is no lesser demand for goods and services. Theoretically, there's a large demand for them. I believe from the bottom of my heart that folks who are looking for a job, waiting for a job to be created, should stop looking and stop waiting and create their own job right now. That takes a leap of faith, no question about it. But if it's not happening for you by somebody else, take control of your life and make it happen for you. When any new business is started, job number one is being created for that entrepreneur who starts the business. The business may grow, hopefully, and if it grows, it may need new employees. If it needs new employees, then you have created a new job. Job number 2, job number 3, 4, 5, whatever. Let me share with you my personal thoughts about that. You heard me say I bought my first business when I was 24. When I was 23, I actually was working in partnership with a gentleman, Mr. I.D. Blumenthal, in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mr. Blumenthal was a very, very successful entrepreneur, a very wealthy man. And he had bought a magazine a couple years before he and I met. He had a couple people who were working to publish that magazine with him. He didn't have time to do it. He was certainly willing to provide the money, provide the capital, but he was getting older, and he had built a company that had several thousand employees, so he wasn't going to take the time to actually publish it himself. So he asked me to be his partner. He was my mentor, wasn't my first mentor. The first mentor outside of my family, my grandfather and my father were my first business mentors, both successful small business owners, successful in different ways. As a matter of fact, before my father died, and he died 39 years ago, just 6 years before he died, he had actually bought a business, the business that I bought 7 or 8 years later. He had bought it himself, and I was very fortunate to be able to attend with him. I was a senior in high school at the time, and I went to 3 business meetings that he had as he was negotiating to buy a publication. It was always his dream to own his own publication. When he went to college, he graduated as a journalist, and his first job out of college was working for a newspaper. And he did a great job, but he wanted something bigger and better than that. I'm not sure how many years he actually worked for that newspaper in Newark, Ohio. But it wasn't too many years after that that he went into the Army. And even in the Army, he was able to, during the Second World War, he had heart issues. Unfortunately, he passed the genes on to me, but he had some heart issues, and so he wasn't actually able to get involved in active combat. But what he did while he was in the Army was he was a journalist, and he was an editor and an author. He actually rewrote the history of the Signal Corps while he was in the Army. So at any rate, he came out of the Army, went into business, started some businesses, and spent most of his life doing what he had to do to provide for his family. But it wasn't really what his dream was. So in 1967, when I was a senior in high school, he actually was able to realize his dream when he bought a publication, and he was now doing really what he wanted to do in life. And at the same time, in 1967, not only did he buy that publication, but he also started another business in the area that he had familiarity with. So he had two businesses going. And he worked hard at those two businesses, not spending, obviously, 100% of his time on either one of them, but doing what he had to do, once again, to provide for his family. And 6 years after he bought a business and started a business, he passed away. And so in the year before he passed away, I was actually working with Mr. Blumenthal in Charlotte, and learning the publishing business as Mr. Blumenthal's partner. And 1 year later, I bought a publishing business from my mother because my grandfather told me that's what I was going to do. And I had years of experience, so it seemed like the right thing to do with my life. Well, I was ordered to do it, so it was the right thing to do with my life. And it was the greatest thing that has ever happened to me, because it set my direction in life. And I bought a business and actually grew the business. In the first 5 years, I doubled the sales of that business from where they were when I had bought it. But when I bought that business, I set a dream for myself. I actually set two dreams for myself. One was to start a magazine from zero with an idea and see where I could go with that idea, see if I could make a viable business out of it. At that time, too, I also set for myself as a lifetime dream to publish my own book, write it, author it, edit it, and publish it myself. I am very happy to say that I was able to realize both of those dreams in my life. The business that I started, the magazine that I started, in 11 months, well, I had a staff of 15 people, 15 hard-working people, and they pretty much, most of them shared the same passion that I had to take an idea, grow that idea, and see if we could make some money on that idea. In 11 months, we did. Our magazine showed a profit in its 11th month of existence, which was great for any business to be able to show profitability that quickly and to then move on. But I made perhaps the most difficult business decision I ever made. I had $20,000 invested in that business. $10,000 of it came from a bank, the only bank loan that I have ever had in my life. $10,000 was personal money. So I had $20,000, and obviously we want to get return on our investment. And if we were able to make a profit in that business in the 11th month with a payroll of 15, the chances were very good that I would get a return on my investment at some point in time. But I made a rough decision that I did not want to continue that business. Why? If you made a profit in your 11th month and you had the things going and things were happening, why did you decide that you wanted to discontinue the business? Very personal decision. Very, very personal. I was not enjoying the experience of managing the lives of 15 other people because I had to provide a paycheck for those folks. I don't remember if I did it every week or every 2 weeks, but whatever it was, I wasn't enjoying the total experience because I was spending too much time doing things that I didn't particularly enjoy, nor it was taking away from the things that I did best. So I said, I've got to stop. And it was very rough, particularly rough for the employees, because they had worked so hard to get to the point where we had gotten. More rough for myself because of the fact that I had $20,000 of investment, and I was able to return to the bank in less than a year the $10,000 with an interest rate, and I don't even remember what it was back then, but I was able to return all the money to the bank. So the only the only loser in terms of money invested was myself. But so what? I made the decision. I made the decision to start, and I made the decision to finish. And it was a rough decision. And you know, and there's another reason why I'm sharing with you this story. I'm sharing the story because sometimes business owners start a business, and they put their heart and their soul, their passion, their persistence, their patience into the business, but they aren't moving forward. Maybe they're only moving sideways. Maybe you're actually moving backwards. And to that point, I shared a quotation this week, and I want to share it with you now because it's very appropriate. It is from a gentleman by the name of Jay Abraham. And Jay Abraham is, I've been following him for years, and he's one of the most powerful individuals doing what he does out there. And Jay starts and grows businesses himself. He works with other companies to start and grow businesses. And he does it as well as anybody does it. He's actually in a very interesting point in his life. I think he and I are probably about the same age. He has definitely made millions of more dollars than I have. But I found a quotation this week that he said, and I want to share it. Most entrepreneurs fall in love with the wrong thing. They fall in love with their products and their businesses when they should be falling in love with their clients and their customers. Earlier, 2 weeks ago, when we started to talk about starting a business at YouTube, and right here at stickam.com, and I put all the information on a landing page somewhere in davidsbarter. And by the way, I'm going to take a 2-minute break, and while I'm doing that, please stay with me, but go to davidsbarter.com, and you'll find a page that looks like this. Look for the red box and register to become a member of our community. If you have an interest in small business, that's what we're all about. So if your interests are not small business, you can come and register, but that's what we do. We want to take existing businesses and share with them resources and ideas and thoughts that will help their businesses grow. We want to provide a platform for new businesses to get started. As a matter of fact, the social marketing and social network technology platform that I have developed, that myself and Curtis have developed for David's Barter community, we are so confident it's working for us, and we want to share that success with 10,000 entrepreneurs who want to start a business right now and create a job for themselves and potentially create jobs for other people. Start right now. We've taken our experiences in social marketing, our knowledge in social network technology, and created the community. It's growing and working for us, accomplishing our business objectives. There's no reason why you can't just do what I do. I'll show you, I'll share with you what I'm doing and why it can work for you to start a business today. The first step is to go to David's Barter community and register. It'll take you less than 2 minutes to register. Four fields of information. Creating a username for yourself. We suggest that the username you create is either your brand or something that really describes your business using small business keywords. Very, very critical that you understand the concept of keywords, and that you will learn more about keywords than you'll learn as much as you possibly can about keywords when you come into the community, because we're all about keywords. 1,000 of those keywords are found in the book that I wrote 4 years ago, How to Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business. There's there's 749 questions, but there's over 1,000 small business keywords. You can, when you register to become a member of the community, you can download a free PDF of the book so that you can learn those keywords and find out the questions that you need to ask, either when you're starting a business or if you are growing a business. That was the purpose of the book. So right away, a benefit of membership in our community is being able to have access to the book and access to me to help you provide the answers to the questions in the book. Then after you register, then you give us your email address. And let me talk about that for a moment. We are not about email. We don't support inbound email coming into the community inside our firewalls. We don't support email leaving our community. Inside of our community, we communicate with one another primarily with a proprietary messaging system that never leaves the community. It stays inside. We have every desire and intent to protect your security while online on the internet, and certainly to protect your private information. We don't need your private information for the community. We don't need it. Quite honestly, I don't want your private information, because if I take it and I host it on our servers, I'm responsible for that private information, in that if there's ever a breach of our systems and that private information gets into somebody else's hands, I am liable for that happening. And I have to have all kinds of certain things in place to show that I did everything I could, but I was not interested in doing all that. So I just made the decision we would not take private information, we would not host it on our servers. So then you create a password for yourself and verify your password. Then you can get into the community. Once inside the community, the next step should be to create a complimentary, no-cost community marketing profile. 6 fields of information, all marketing information. None of it is private information. And so once again, it's very critical that you use keywords in that marketing profile, because the more effectively that you use keywords, the more effectively and efficiently people will find you in the community by using those keywords. We have search engines on every page. Every landing page has a search engine on it, and it's a proprietary local search engine where you put in those keywords, and that's how you find what is happening in the community with those keywords. Simple concept. So you register, you create a profile for yourself, and if you want to start a business and you have a good business idea, you can register as one of the 10,000 entrepreneurs who will get access for 50 days. We'll let you test it and try it for 50 days at no expense. If you decide you can make it work for yourself, and it does work for you, on the 51st day, or sooner if you desire, you will then pay either $6 a day, $5 a day, or $4 a day, depending upon how long you are willing to commit for using our managed, optimized bandwidth. In our community, everything is optimized. We understand optimization. We understand how it works. It's working for us, and we're going to talk about it when I come back, as I compare our search results with Google versus Bing. Big story this week, big announcement from Bing. And so we're going to take the Bing search engine, we're going to take the Google search engine, and we're going to compare the information that we get from each one of those search engines. And we'll be back in just a moment to do that.